So today we are going to answer the question, what are fractions? We have actually already started fractions in class, so today should be a review and a little bit of practice from what we have learned in class. You will need your math journal or a piece of paper to write on and a pencil or pen to write with during this lesson. If you do not have those materials ready, please pause the video now to get them. Okay, so what is a fraction? A fraction is a part of a whole, like a piece of a whole pizza or a piece of a whole pie. Another way you can think of a fraction is part of a set, like when you have a dozen cupcakes or a dozen donuts or a dozen cookies, anything that may come in a set that can be shared. To have a fraction, you must have equal parts. The rectangle in orange shows that these parts are not equal. If you look closely at this rectangle, there are some parts that are larger than other parts. This rectangle in blue shows equal parts. If you look at each part of the rectangle, it is congruent, which also means equal. Let's talk about what does a fraction look like and what are the parts of a fraction. So remember that a fraction has two parts. The numerator, which is the top number that represents how many pieces or parts that we have counted or separated. And the denominator, which is the bottom number, and it represents how many total parts there are. How do we read fractions? Now we have done this in class, so let's practice reading some fractions out loud. Read along with me. This fraction is 1/2. The next fraction is 1/3 because we have one part of the 3. This fraction is 1/4 because we have one part out of 4. 1/6, 1/8, and 1/10. Let's try an example. We made 6 cookies. 1 is peanut butter and 5 are chocolate chip. How would you write the number of peanut butter cookies as a fraction? First, you may want to create a drawing of the situation so that you can better understand the problem. So you can see we have our cookies drawn out here. 1 is peanut butter and 5 are chocolate chip. Remember that the numerator will be the number we have counted or separated. So this question asks for the number of peanut butter cookies. If we count how many we have, we only have 1. So our numerator would be 1. The denominator is going to be the total number of cookies that we have. So if we count how many cookies we have all together, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we find that our denominator will be 6. Okay, let's try another one. What fraction of the triangles are red? So remember, the numerator will be the parts that we have counted or separated. In this case, it's going to be the number of red triangles. And you can see we have 1 red triangle, so our numerator is 1. The denominator is going to be the total number of triangles. So if we count how many triangles we have all together, you can see we have 2. So our denominator would be 2. So if we're answering the question, what fraction of the triangles are red, we would say half of the triangles are red. Now I'd like you to try one on your own. So I'll read this aloud, and then I'd like you to pause the video and try to write the fraction on your own. What fraction of the boxes are orange? Go ahead and pause the video and try to write the fraction. Okay, let's check your work. So to find what fraction of the boxes are orange, remember our numerator is going to be how many boxes are orange. If you came up with 1, then you are correct because there is only one box that is orange. Remember, the denominator is going to be the total number of boxes. And if you counted 4, then you are correct because when we count all of the boxes, we get 4. Let's try this one together. What fraction of the stars are yellow? So remember, our numerator is going to be how many stars are yellow. If we count, we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 yellow stars, so our numerator will be 4. Remember, the denominator is going to be the total number of stars. So if we count all of the stars we have, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So our denominator is 10. If we were to say this fraction, we would say it as 4/10. Can you repeat that after me? 4/10. Okay, so far we have done problems that are asking us about parts of a set. Now we're going to do some examples of when fractions are part of a whole. So this example says, I ordered 1 whole pizza. It was cut into 8 slices. I ate 2 slices. What fraction of the whole pizza did I eat? So just like the other questions, the numerator is going to be the number of slices I ate. If we look back at the word problem, it said that I ate 2 slices. So our numerator would be 2. The denominator is still going to be the total number of pizza slices. So for this one, if we go back to the word problem, it says that it was cut into 8 slices. So our denominator would be 8. We would read this fraction as 2/8. It's really important to pay attention to the question because sometimes it might ask you for the fraction of the whole pizza that was eaten, but then sometimes it might ask you for the fraction of what is left over. So pay really close attention to what the question is asking you. Now you're going to get a chance to practice. What is the fraction of the colored part of each picture below? When a picture pops up, I want you to pause the video and write down what fraction is shaded. Pause the video and write down what fraction is shaded green. If you wrote down 1/3, you are correct. Pause the video and write down what fraction of the figure is shaded blue. If you wrote down 1/8, then you were correct. Pause the video and write down what fraction of the circle is shaded red. If you wrote down 1/2, then you are correct. Pause the video and write down what fraction of the circle is shaded orange. If you wrote down 1/6, then you are correct. Last one. Pause the video and write down what fraction of the circle is shaded purple. If you wrote down 1/4, then you are correct. What is the fraction of the blue part of the picture below? Well, we have 4 parts, so we know the denominator is going to be 4. If this is the part that is shaded blue, what would the fraction be? Pause the video and write down what fraction is shaded blue. If you wrote down 1/4, that is correct. But what if we shade in another part? Now what would our fraction of the figure that is shaded blue be? If you wrote down 2/4, then you are correct. But what if we shade another part? What would the fraction be now? If you thought 3/4, then you are correct. Can you predict if we shade in the last part what our fraction would be? If you predicted 4/4, then you are correct. Remember that 4/4 is the same as having the whole, so it is the same as having 1. What is the fraction of the colored part of each picture below? Pause the video and write down what fraction is shaded in orange. If you wrote 4/6, then you are correct. It is 4 as our numerator because 4 pieces are shaded orange, and there are 6 pieces total. What is the fraction of the circle that is shaded red? Pause the video and write it down. If you wrote 2/2, then you are correct. And remember, that is the same as having the whole, so it is also 1. What fraction of the circle is shaded green? If you wrote down 2/3, then you are correct. 2 parts of the circle are shaded green, and there are 3 parts total. What is the fraction of the circle that is shaded blue? If you wrote down 7/8, then you are correct. 7 parts are shaded blue, and there are 8 parts total, or 7 parts out of 8 are shaded blue. Last one. What fraction of the circle is shaded purple? If you wrote down 3/4, then you are correct. Thank you for following along with this lesson today. Remember that there is still practice that you can do on Google Classroom with fractions that you will need to do and turn in. And you can always practice math or any other subject on the anytime practice. So you can do IXL, you can do multiplication fact quizzes. You can also do Freckle. That is totally your choice. It is not something you have to do, but if you would like to have some extra practice, you may do so.